What's up everybody, John from Old Reading Farm here. Thanks for joining us. In today's video, we're gonna do something very interesting, and I apologize if there's some noise going on in the background. Neighbors are having some tree work done. So today, we are gonna look back on just about 2 years of us being at this farm. So we moved here. Well, we bought this house in February of 2021. We moved in May. And lots and lots and lots of stuff has changed in those past 2 years, and I thought it might be kind of fun to just go through and show you what's happened. So let's get started.
What's all this?
I don't know. Some dilapidated old broken down house.
What's all that?
All right, so now I'm gonna do my best to sort of match the footage up with what was done previously, but I know I'm not gonna be able to do it 100% because of how much it has changed. So one of the first things that we did was we stood outside. So this is the big house, which now is really just chainsaw carving storage and other miscellaneous storage for now, because that needs a new septic system as well as a whole bunch of other stuff to do on the inside, so we didn't really do anything about it. But so the view around here is a little bit different. And granted, try to disregard the construction equipment and this thing right behind me, but you know, this is the mother-in-law cottage, and it is nearly done. She's picking out paint colors, flooring is in, it's coming along nicely. But so we did some nice panoramic views. Oh, also, so Catherine is going to be editing this hopefully, and hopefully she'll be inserting some clips from our other videos to just sort of show you how it was before. So anyway, you know, we started off over here and we were talking about having an alpaca pasture right here that was sort of temporary. Yep.
So we're gonna build some kind of, I mean, we say temporary. It'll probably be, what do you think, a year?
Something like that.
Probably have them for about a year in this like yard area, because what we need to do is save up some money to cut down some of those trees.
And it was sort of temporary because now the alpacas are somewhere else. But, you know, and it was funny because we also so we came like all over here, and it's so hard to tell because even in the last year, this was part of the alpaca pasture. But since we're building the house, we took that out. So now it's just over here. And so this was like the first thing I ever built really here was setting up this fence and building the barn. And now there's something different in that barn. Please don't mind the mess. I just wanted to come and show you how hard we've been working on chainsaw carving. Look at all these mushrooms. Oh man. So Kat and Joanne have been painting all of these things, and it's just, I mean, look at all of them. That's a lot. All right, so then Kat was talking about like a chicken community that we were going to build over here, which we ended up not doing. But you can also see we got new siding on the house because all of the old wood was just rotting off, and we ended up having some pretty bad like rain damage and water damage coming into the house. So we had to get that fixed. But so this is still here. This eventually we're going to turn into a patio once we have some time. But you know, our dogs like to go to the bathroom on patios. So I think we're going to wait a few years for that.
One of the other things that we've been talking about doing, and maybe you've been wondering how we're going to do this, at our old piece of property, we had told you a couple times that our town allows us to have 50 chickens, and now we're talking about getting all these Polish chickens and getting Appenzeller Spitzhaubens and Rhode Island Reds and doing chicken trades with people and hatching chickens. We have Silkies coming.
What?
None of this is news to John. So I don't know if any of you were like thinking in your heads like, they say they have 50 chickens. They say they're allowed to have 50 chickens. Chicken math clicking in. It's because we've known for a while that we were going to do this. So our eventual plan is to build some kind of chicken village where each individual breed of chickens has its own individual house and run, and they can all live in harmony with each other in this little like chicken community. So we're going to do that here. Won't that be fun?
All right, so here, I think we were somewhere in this vicinity. And so we were talking about the pasture and how we were going to need to cut down some trees. And as you can see, it's looking a little different back here. So this was our initial place for the alpacas. And it was funny because as soon as we bought this place, Catherine went on Facebook and was like, hey, we have 40 acres now. Please give us all of your alpacas. And a farm in Vermont, who is downsizing, decided to give us 10. And so Catherine was on her way home with the first 5 on the day that me, Uncle Rick, Rob, and their friend Sean finished the fence. So it was just, putting T-posts in, and before there was all these brambles and briars all over the place. It was a nightmare, and it was really hot, but we got it done. But so now we had built these doors to put on this barn because now there are no longer alpacas in here, but we have our peacocks. We gave them this little red thing because now they can go up in the loft. They feel safer up there, but it's cool to have peacocks again. So, obviously we are not done, but, we are fenced in, baby. So I had a lot of trouble driving in some of the last few T-posts. So the previous owners must have done some grading and then filled it back in with rock, because trying to get those T-posts in just wasn't happening. But so we left enough room for now so that we have truck entrance right here, and then enough space over here to clear it and go over that way. So like if we come with a big load of hay or something like that, we can pull right in, go right up to it. Then it kind of comes around, and I think eventually Cat is going to cut down all this brush, or maybe they'll take it down themselves. But so we got a nice big open pasture for them right now, and I think they're gonna love it. So then what we're gonna do over here, so this used to be the alpaca barn, but now it's gonna be the peacock barn. And we actually found someone in Connecticut, and our parents are gonna kill us. But I think we're getting 6 peacocks, which I think is 1 male and 5 female. So currently we have 2 males and 1 female here, which you can't do a whole lot with. So it's actually a pretty good deal. We're gonna get these peacocks, and so we're gonna build out a nice big run for them. And I know Kat was originally a little against building it like way out to here, but I think with that number of peacocks, we're gonna have like a nice long run. I'd like to have it at least, so this width is like 16 feet, so 16 by 20 at least. I think probably 30 would be good. I think the bigger the better, just with that number of peacocks, give them as much space as possible. And it won't take that much longer to build if it's bigger. But anyway, so used to be alpaca barn, now it's gonna be peacock house. All right, so the other thing that we did was we built this big, beautiful place over here. So this is our dry lot for our alpacas, and we did that so that we could have our other pasture grow grass, which it has done. It's struggling a little bit right now. I'm a little concerned, but I'm hoping that it'll be okay in the end. My plan is to seed again in the fall, and then I think again we'll keep them off of it until it's winter time, but give it a little time to grow in the fall, sort of fill in some of those bare spots, because you can see it's definitely much greener than it was, because it used to be all just wood chips, but there's some patches and the weeds are kind of taking over a little bit. So once that comes down, it'll be good. So as I'm on my way down here, I don't think we did a whole video for this, But this area right here, looking pretty damn lush. So this used to be just dirt and rocks, and it was a mess. Now it's gonna be a nice pasture for something someday. So that'll be good. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a tour of our flower farm, which is actually just a weed emporium right now. Not that kind of weed, like weeds. So I'll sort of show you where that was. So this was the first like project that we had on this farm. We would come down here every weekend, and we cut down all the trees, and then we would buck them up into like 16-inch lengths, throw them in the back of the truck, drive them up the hill, and dump them out up there and try to get people to come and take them. And so, I mean, you know, right now this is just a pile of weeds just everywhere you can see. I mean, with the exception of this, I planted some of the ryegrass there. But yeah, so when we originally marked this place out, you can see our original marking tree, I think, is that one right there, as a bug flies and lands on my head. But so you can see how much this place has changed since we first came down here. And now I'm thinking, so our greenhouse is basically going to sit right in the center over here, and we'll build some raised garden beds and have this be a nice garden area. So, and you know, the other thing, even though we have all these weeds, I actually have a nice compost pile going with both chicken and alpaca manure. I'm trying to combine them together. And so my plan is at some point either have someone or cut it myself, cut this all down and then gather it all up and put that in my compost pile. Because I need some greens. I got lots of you know, wood shavings from the chickens and plenty of alpaca manure, but I need some green in there. Get some, I think it's nitrogen. I don't really know. But I don't know what I'm doing with the compost pile, but I know that we spent an awful lot on compost for planting the grass. And honestly, actually this we didn't spend any compost on. I just took some alpaca manure that I had stored and did a light spread and then just planted in the clay. I'm surprised at how well it's doing. So, but I think a lot of that is the ryegrass, which I believe is an annual, so we'll have to see. But anyway, so we have our emus here. Got our emu building back there. And then we ended up building our chicken village. And you know, it's... Anybody else see that? Okay, so that rooster, I don't know if you can see him right there. So he's a bad boy. So he's in timeout right now. But anyway, so, you know, we were talking about it and we wanted it to sort of be like a community of chickens where it was super easy to get into, super easy to gather eggs. And we learned a lot, I think, when we built this. And also this was built during the height of the pandemic. Or actually, so there's two sides. So there's this side, which we built with nesting boxes. This side we built later and didn't put nesting boxes on it. This side cost about 2 times to build because that was when lumber prices were just getting ridiculous. And a sheet of like OSB cost like $90 or something like that. And plywood is still crazy expensive. Wild. I remember the days when a 2x4 used to cost like $2. I think even now it's still over $4, so it's still like twice as expensive. But it was like they were like $8 a piece when we got it. It was craziness. And you know, now we're at the point where we can build stuff with our own lumber. So it's like we've come a long way because we have a sawmill now, in case you don't know. But anyway, so we wanted to build this as like a very cute and efficient way of having chickens. And it ended up being pretty good because, you know, the one thing that it comes down to, the major cost for chickens for us is building. Not anymore, but it was back then. And, you know, the chicken wire is expensive. And so each one of these coops has a shared wall so that, you know, we're basically using one wall of chicken wire to cover 2 coops. So you really make a big difference in your overall budget by saving that chicken wire. And the coops have worked out really well. It is difficult to clean the runs, because I made this wide enough so that I could fit the tractor in it, but it's not quite wide enough. And then also we put this trellis out here so I can't get the tractor in there. But you know, it's just difficult to clean out because they knock all of the shavings out of their coops into the runs, and then those just kind of compact down. So it's a pain in the neck to clean them, and it's disgusting, but there's my compost pile right there. So we'll see what happens. And then we have our boy alpacas down here. I don't know if we actually, you know, oh yeah, no, we did talk about this. Can we turn this land into pasture? Yes, we can. And it is not quite pasture yet, but it's getting there. This is still a dry lot here. But, you know, if you come over this way, you can see we have another weed emporium. Weeds emporium. Weeds, not weed. But it's funny because some of the chicken manure had pumpkin seeds in it. You can see the pumpkins growing. I don't know if they're actually fertilized or not. I keep hearing weird noises. Don't like it. But anyway, you know, there was some like actual, you can see there's some grass growing over here, because what my initial plan was, and it worked initially, was when I clean up the alpaca pasture with their manure, I would come and just dump it and sort of spread it over here. And so you can see some of that grass is actually growing because, you know, they eat hay. And so they eat the hay, and their poop has some of the seeds in it, apparently. So somewhere in the sea of weeds and nastiness, there is some orchard grass growing through there, but currently it just looks like a mess. You know, if I had more time and a brush hog, I would probably clear it out. But I think one of the things we also might do is just get some fencing, or, you know, if I'm able to mill some boards for the new alpaca pasture fencing up there, then maybe we could take the wire from there and sort of fence this area in. Because then we could just sort of let the boys come over here and trample all this down and eat the grass. That might be a plan. Let me just check my calendar and see when I can fit that in. All right, And so for those of you who have watched us for like years, I see you and I thank you. You know, we have changed a lot because we used to be 1.8 acres and, you know, 50 chickens. Really had like 100, but town only allowed us to have 50. So we had 50. And we started with 3 alpacas, ended up with 8, even though we were only allowed to have 5. So, yeah, we don't follow rules too well. But anyway, now we're here on 40 acres. And the last place I'm going to show you is the wood yard, which is a little bit of a mess, so please forgive me, but we're working on cleaning it up. Whew. So now we have 28 alpacas. It's a lot. And we're actually supposed to get a hay delivery on Sunday, I think. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right, so the last place I'm going to show you is the wood yard, which had called the man cave or the man zone, yada yada. So let's see where I can come in and then, you know, drive down this little road. I'll have to fill this in with wood chips because of the boulders in the ground. But then you can see those T-posts. You can see those T-posts. Those are going to be where the sawmill is going to live. So it's going to be somewhere in between there. Now, maybe we'll go look at our sawmill later. But so basically I'm going to have some posts in the ground and then some rails going horizontally to hold the sawmill. Because right now it's just in a temporary location and it's kind of rickety. So I don't want that. And then the T-posts note where we're going to have like a shed. So I'll have like, you know, big tall posts and then a roof covering it just to protect it from the elements, but also let air in there to circulate. And then I think what's going to happen is, so we'll have log storage here, and I'll probably build up again a couple posts and some rails to just get those off the ground. Because you have wood on the ground for too long, you're going to start getting bugs. And I'm not sure if that black stuff is just mold from the moisture being released or if it's bugs. But anyway, so I'll have the storage here so that I can come in with the tractor, pick it up with the forks, and then just back up, turn a little bit, and then be able to put it right on top of the mill. And then when I'm done milling, again, I'll come in with the tractor, pick it up, and then I'll bring it right over here, and I think my wood storage will be at a similar angle that my logs are right now, right here. So that basically it's just, you know, an easy pull out, pull back in for that, you know, so I'm really not turning more than a total of 90 degrees. Because what I have right now kind of stinks. So this is the entrance to it. You can see it looks a little bit different than it did in the videos before. And so I came in here and I have a lot of different wood storage now, as you can see. But I ended up, now I have a lot of hardwood because I've done a lot of chainsaw carving and ended up clearing some of that out. I have my own log splitter now, and that's our wood pile there. So I also built a chainsaw carving shed because that has become a very big part of our income here. So it's still not quite finished there, but because I always come down here and I have the pieces for it right there that I want to fill it in, but I always come down here and I don't have my screwdriver and I need it. And anyway, that's full of sawdust. And then so here is the sawmill, and so you can see in the video I had like those T-posts, so it's basically right where I said it was going to go. So yeah, I mean, a little bit messy, but and this is the wood yard tractor. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If there's any other parts of the farm or aspects of our life that you want to know about, things that you think have changed, let me know. If there's something specifically you want to see in our videos, let me know, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time.